Hello everyone, welcome to FinAstroTrader channel and happy Veterans Day, and thank you for all the veterans, and you guys are amazing, brave men and women who have kept this country safe and secure at home as well as abroad. And hats off to you folks, and you guys are true heroes, and thanks for all the efforts that you have put in while you are at service, and because of that we have a great place to live and a safe country to live. So thank you once again, and enjoy your day. So today I just wanted to talk about a different concept actually. So last video that I posted, FinAstroTrader.com, so that's my website, FinAstroTrader.com. Last video I took you back to 1 year and kind of proved that every swing, whether it's a swing high or like a decent swing high or a swing low, has happened because of a planetary event. Okay, and of course, many people have expressed disbelief and doubt, and many people were skeptical, even though I have proved that every swing high and swing low has happened because of a planetary event, okay, or astrological or astronomical event. So if you haven't watched that video, take a look at it. So it's posted on my website. So I know that many people were skeptical, and they have all the rights to be skeptical as much as I have the right to believe that this works. Okay, so many people were kind of genuinely doubtful and genuinely asking me questions as to how does it work and whether it works in all markets and things like that. The answer is yes. From my experience, I trade at least 2-3 markets, and then from my experience it works pretty much everywhere. I trade Indian market as well, so I have seen it working in Indian market, forex market, futures, so pretty much all of the markets actually. Okay, so that was my effort last video, basically taking you back 1 year. So from here, so I just took you back to 1 year, so last year September, and just marked all the major planetary events and proved that every swing high and swing low has happened because of a planetary event. So today I just decided that since I take you back to 100 years back, not on the daily chart, but I'll just take one planet and then going to show you a major event that has happened because of that planet's influence on Earth, and also how it has caused major events in the stock market as well. Okay, but before I explain, so many people have asked me, so how does it really work, so whether it's valid, so I have only a couple of explanations that I can give you. There is something called reductio ad absurdum. In mathematics there is a concept called reductio ad absurdum. What does that mean? So if you can Google it and find out. So it means that you are proving that you are making an assumption and then proving that the inverse of that assumption is false, and there is no middle path to it. Okay, so you taking a concept and then proving that the inverse of that is not true, okay, and there is no middle path to it. So that is my effort in my video here. So last video that I posted. So you may correlate all these swings highs and swing low to a news event, but what my point is that news don't move planets. Every swing high and swing low has happened probably a plus or minus a day before and after a planetary event. And my point is that planetary event brings a news, okay, and market just reacts to that news. Okay, so that's my point, and there is no planetary event has happened in between. So every time there is a major planetary event has happened, there is a news that has come out, by way of maybe some political news, economics news, corporate news, and CEOs leaving, CEOs come in, at the least president tweeting. Okay, so all these have happened close to a major planetary event. Okay, and that market has reacted to those events. So that's the way these moves happen. Somebody asked me, can you actually show me this by mathematical formula? The answer is no, because most of this is empirical evidence only, because every major discovery has happened out of an empirical evidence only first. Archimedes principle, Boyle's law, Ohm's law, Kepler's law, so Newton's law. Everything has happened first as an empirical evidence. Before it, somebody just actually researched and then just made it in a formula. Newton didn't go into an apple orchard with a notepad and a pencil in his hand, and with the formula, knowing that exactly that apple is going to fall down and instead of going up, right? So everything has started with an empirical evidence first, So one of those example is that Einstein, 1916, he had predicted that gravity can be measured as a wave, and until recently nobody knew how to measure that. Nobody believed that either. Recently there was a breakthrough where scientists were able to measure gravity as a wave. Gravitational wave is basically, it was just like a theory back then, and there was no formula, and recently scientists were able to measure that a disturbance from a distant galaxy. So that was like sometime in 2015 they were able to measure that actually. So you can read it up, okay. And that collision happened in 1975, and they were able to measure that only in 2015. After what 30 years or 40 years later, right? So if you can measure disturbance from a distant galaxy is coming onto Earth as a gravitational wave. Think about the planets that are revolving around Sun and thereby to Earth. I'm sure they don't collide, and so they don't create a major waves, but they still have a ripple effect, small but slow and steady, okay, and so they still come to the Earth. So you can read up on that, so that's why, so there are a lot of empirical evidence. I can prove to you that going back in history, and you tell me any swing, okay, not just this swing, so that I showed you. These are not cherry-picked swings, okay. You tell me any swing, any time in history, swing high or swing low, I can show you a planetary event that has happened correlating to that swing high or swing low, okay. So it's that powerful. So today we are going to focus on one planet only, okay, and that is basically Saturn, okay. According to Newton's law of gravity, the gravitational force is directly proportional to the mass, okay, and inversely proportional to the distance, okay. So the bigger the mass, they have a major impact, okay, and also inversely proportional to the distance as well. So as we know that we have Saturn is the farthest from Sun, so if you compare to other inner planets or outer planets, and of course, we don't look at Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, okay. Or a financial astrology perspective, Saturn is the most dreaded planet, okay, in our solar system. Why? Because Saturn brings a major impact in politics, in economics, and thereby in the market. Any political or economical events that has an impact in the market, as we all know, all right. And so Saturn brings those changes. So how do we know that? Let's take a look at the Saturn's position. So by taking you back to my chart here. So this is as of Friday. So 8/11. 11 is basically the month, and this is the date. Okay. So November 8th. Friday we close like this, and these are the planetary positions as of Friday, and you can see that Jupiter has transitioned to Sagittarius here, okay. Saturn is right there. It's going to be pretty crowded, because all these planets are moving fast to join Jupiter and Saturn, okay, and in Sagittarius. So and that's going to create a lot of volatility in the market, for sure, okay. And now when I say that pretty soon, it takes a few months basically, okay, so before they join. So if you look at this, right, and everything that we look at from a Earth-centric perspective, it looks this way. So every sign we start from, Aries, okay, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, right, and back to Aries again, okay. Now each house has certain characteristics, and each house has a ruler. If you are looking at Earth, farthest to the right you have Sun, okay, and so Sun occupies this Leo, okay, that's farthest to the right, and then we have Moon also, pretty close to Earth. Next in the solar system is Mercury, and Mercury has been given two houses, okay, and they rule. The rule means that they are pretty comfortable, and they dictate the terms in that house basically, okay, and which is Gemini and Virgo. Mercury owns those, and then next to Mercury is Venus, and Venus has been given Taurus and Libra, okay, and next to that is Earth, and after Earth comes the outer planets, start of outer planets, which are Mars, right? So Mars occupies Aries and Scorpio, Mars is the ruler there, and then Sagittarius and Pisces has Jupiter, and then Capricorn and Aquarius has Saturn. So Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Now the thing is that Saturn takes about 2.5 years in one sign, okay, so one sign 2.5 years. So in order for Saturn to go around completely, okay, around Sun and thereby Earth, okay, it takes 30 years, about 29.5, 30 years close to, okay. So Saturn, right now Saturn is in Sagittarius and is just getting ready to enter Capricorn. Now, so last time when Capricorn was here was back in 1987 to 1993. Okay, so it takes about 2.5 years, but the thing is that effect of that will be felt one sign before and one sign after. So it's about 7.5 years, and Saturn will have that impact on a particular sign 7.5 years, and so based on that you will see certain sectors that are getting depressed. Saturn impacts certain sectors of the market. So if you look at certain stocks and sectors that were down last several years, that's because of Saturn's effect. Okay. Now the thing is that Saturn is all about people. Okay. Saturn impacts people. Saturn loves people, and at the same time Saturn wants people to make change. Okay. So that it can pave way for the next major advancement, to the human beings. So Saturn is basically classified or controls, or maybe control is not the right word. Many of the working class are impacted by Saturn. Okay, so Saturn represent the common man, the lower level of the society. Okay, people who are working hard, people who are working for minimum wages, people who are working any workers, any job goers, so okay, or Saturn impacts them. Okay, and not the higher level of the society, but the lower level. Okay, and Saturn wants to elevate their life and their way of thinking and their way of life to a next level. For that, it has to make changes. So Saturn, every 30 years, when it comes to this its own house, it wants to make changes. Okay, now it can only make, see, if you are in your home, right, you can only make changes in your home. You cannot go to your friend's home and then make changes there, right? And so Saturn is just about to enter its own house, and it's ready to make those changes. So what it does is that it impacts those people, makes a major revolutionary change, actually, so, and it just kind of impacts people in masses. So if you study history, most of the political revolutions have happened when Saturn was about to enter. Either it's in Capricorn or it was about to enter Capricorn. Okay, and so typically that revolution can happen when Saturn is in Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. One sign before and one sign after, actually. Okay, so it's about 7.5 years. It's just going to give us a major change. So I have a report that I pulled out. Okay, and Saturn was in Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius back from 1987 to 1993. So if you look at the history of what happened, during that time, you will see that that is a time when we had the collapse of the Soviet Union. So you see that major revolution that happened in Russia, so the erstwhile USSR, so Soviet Union, and Soviet Union collapsed during that time. Okay, and you can also read it up, so if you're not familiar. So Soviet Union was dissolved to 15 different states, if I remember correctly. So that is a major revolution that happened. And another thing that has happened was the Berlin Wall. That also fell during November 1991. The Berlin Wall fell, uniting East Germany and West Germany. Okay, so that is another major event that has happened during that time. You can see that, so there was a major agitation that happened during that time. So mainly Saturn, what it does is that, it just impacts people or in masses and brings people out in the street. So last time when it happened, the people were out in the street for a Germany unification, okay, and Soviet Union disintegration. Okay, so people were out in the street voting. They revolt against the existing regime, existing government, and the elite class. Remember that Saturn impacts the lower class, and they are mainly revolting against the elite class, of the society. Okay, so that has happened. Okay, and also one more thing that has happened during that time, so that is when you might remember. I remember that I was in school that time. The Gulf War that happened, so during that time too. So Gulf War happened between 1990 to 1991. So US went to war in the Middle East, actually. Okay, so remember that, Saturn brings changes, and Saturn also brings the exact type of changes, actually, because it wants to elevate that masses to the next level. Okay, so that's why it brings changes. And if you look back again, okay, and so that is 30 years back. 30 years back, this is what has happened. Now if you look at 30 years beyond 1987 to 1993, you will hit what? 1957 to 1962. So what has happened in 1957 to 1962? So I can show you that here. 1958, right? So 1958 is when Saturn entered Sagittarius, and then finally it went into Aquarius and just left Aquarius in 1966. Okay, during that time, if you study history, we had the civil rights movement that happened. Martin Luther King, so people were out in the street for a civil rights movement. Okay, so as you can see here, all these changes in the politics, and that impacts the markets too. Okay, so this is 1957 to 1965, 1966, or 30 years prior to that, we had Saturn in Sagittarius through Aquarius from 1928 to 1934. What did happen that time? The Great Depression, and people were out in the street for a completely different reason, So when Saturn was in Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. Okay, so and you can see this period right here from over 1929 to 1939. So mainly, so people were out in the street again, so because of Saturn's influence. Okay, so if you look at it, like I just took you back almost 100 years, right? And then 1927 to 1935 or so. Okay, and then we have 1958 to 1965, and then from 1987 to 1992, 1993, and then right after 30 years, we have Saturn again, just ready to enter its own house here. Okay, as you can see, Saturn is right here in Sagittarius right now, and it's just about to enter Capricorn. If you read the news, you know that we have at least 7 or 8 countries that I can think of where we have a major revolution happening, okay, against the existing regime, existing government, and such as, Hong Kong. Okay, so if you're wondering that why Hong Kong event is happening, it's exactly because of Saturn's influence. Okay, so Saturn has brought people out in the street one more time, okay, after 30 years. Okay, and they are revolting against the existing government, right, Chinese government. And if you look at Venezuela, the people are out in the street again, and Chile, and recently, you must have read about the news about Chile. There is a revolution that is happening, Zimbabwe, and many places that you can think of where people are out there fighting against the existing regime. That is the nature of Saturn. Saturn wants to make changes in people, and Saturn also does good things also, so if people are willing to make that changes, that's going to reward you when it enters Aquarius. Okay, but it wants to first make changes here, and those who are fighting that change just simply gets rid of them. So Saturn also causes death to many people as well. And also, so it's like the way I look at Saturn is that it's kind of like an auditor, right? So I remember that I was part of an ISO 9000 operation when I first graduated, and my company, and when I announced that so we'll be coming for an ISO 9000 audit, companies used to kind of and they hated us actually, because they didn't want to make the changes. It's like in a big CPA firm walking into an office for an audit. Of course, they many people fear that, right? Especially the accounting department, because they know that they are going to find the dirty laundries, and they don't want that to happen, right? And they resist that. And but the thing is that the CPA firm has the authority to command that the changes that the company needs to make for the betterment of that company, or for the betterment of that corporation, right? So Saturn is like that. And also there is a like a minor events also happens, so like every few years there are minor revolutions that happens, so such as something happened in 2011 2013 in Egypt, and in Libya, and things like that, right? So major rulers, dictators of those countries were thrown out, right? So those changes also have Saturn has a hand in it. Okay, but those are minor, but this one is major. Okay, see, this 30 years. So basically Saturn is making way for a major change. And if you look at it, and Saturn, as it moves through these signs, okay, it impacts one industry or several industries at a time. Okay, because each sign has control of each industry in our market. So as Saturn moves, it controls, or it just kind of relieves that pressure off of that industry. So if you look at, I'm not going to tell you which one it is, so unless you are a part of my mentorship program, people that are part of my mentorship program, they know which sector to focus on for the next 2.5 years. So if you look at any sector or any stocks that were down for the last 2.5 years, it's because of Saturn's influence. Okay, and those sectors and those stocks will see a relief as Saturn moves into Capricorn, and then and another 2.5 years time to Aquarius. Okay, so watch out for those changes, and these are the things that we look at in our trading room. And so if you really want to know which stocks to focus on, which sectors or industries to focus on, and which industries that you can short, which industries that you can buy cheap, okay, to have big gains in the market, so reach out to me. You can just book up an appointment on my website, okay, and you can take a look at my website, and my website is FinAstroTrader.com, and take a look at it, and you can book up an appointment and also become part of the mentorship program. Or get alerts, so if you don't want to be in the trading room, you can just choose to have alerts sent out to you based on so when these major events that are likely to happen, and what industry and stock market or stocks to focus on, so which currency is likely to move up, move down, which index or indices are likely to move up or move down. Okay, so you can take a look at those. And also besides that, we have other predictive services as well. And if you don't want any of these, you can take a class, okay, from me, and where I'll be teaching you as how to analyze these from an astrological perspective. So okay, so get ready for a major move in the stock market, okay, which is coming up. When I say it's coming up, it's not going to happen soon. Okay, it's going to take a few months, and because Saturn is a slow moving planet, but there's a plenty of opportunity for us to take advantage of these moves. Okay, so hope it makes sense, and reach out to me if you really want to take advantage of these planetary events. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and we'll talk to you later.